Yeah, the most important player in the finals isn't even playing in the finals.
No.
By the way, they're about to tip off.
I'm busy watching Texas Tech, Texas softball.
Yeah, see, it's a hard. It's a. I mean, you know, Oklahoma City got a little action tonight.
Can we talk about Texas's pitcher? That is a.
Did you just call her a bitcher?
No,
It
pitcher.
kind of sounded like it.
I think you said bitcher.
I did not.
Why would you call her that?
Pitcher. Dude, that girl is a wagon. That is a lot of woman right there. I'd be terrified. Like everyone's talking about this Texas Tech pitcher, the $1 million NIL gal. This Texas gal, she's got crazy eyes. I'm putting all my money on Texas right now. I'm not betting against that gal. Do yourself a favor and look up 55 for Texas. You tell me you're stepping in the box against her? She would dominate you. You couldn't handle all that.
Yeah, she's a big gal.
Whoa.
I love those softball pants. You know, like women always talk about like butts in football pants.
Yeah.
This is our equivalent.
Yes.
Is it not?
Yeah.
The softball pants?
Yeah.
I mean, maybe the spandex, you know, like the like track and field.
Yeah, track and field or volleyball.
But I tell you, there's something about these softball pants, boy.
Well, they just showed that gal warming up, and that gal is intense. And I think she might be the backup center for the Texas football team. She looks like it. She looks like Jackson. Apparently, Jackson Powers Johnson is pitching tonight. You know, he's just got that body. He's built like a mini fridge. That's what the Texas pitcher's got going on tonight.
So the most important player in these finals that isn't playing in these finals is Paul George.
Yeah, he built basically both of these teams.
That's why they call him Playoff P.
By the way, the Thunder are running away with this. It's already 4-0.
Oh, break it up.
Yeah, Paul George. So the Pacers got Sabonis via their Paul George trade to Oklahoma City,
which led to the Halliburton thing.
And they sent Sabonis off for Halliburton.
Yeah.
And then the Thunder got SGA from the Clippers in their Paul George trade that netted them 5 first-round picks.
Yeah.
Did you know that?
Yeah.
They got 5 firsts and SGA.
Because in order to get Kawhi, they needed Paul George. Otherwise, Kawhi was going to sign, I think, with the Lakers. So Oklahoma City was like, cool, we're going to hold your ransom. And at the time, SGA was a young and up-and-coming player, but he wasn't an MVP.
One of the 5 first-round picks they got, they drafted Jalen Williams.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it all came from the Paul George trade well, not all of it, but you know what I mean.
Yes, both of these
For
teams
OKC.
essentially were built. The core of the team, and certainly the star of the team, was built via Paul George. And isn't it funny that, you know, Paul George was viewed as the final piece in all these places, and he's led a team to exactly nothing. Meanwhile, these two teams that had the sense to move on from Paul George are now here in the NBA.
In fact, he's driven some of them down. The Sixers went in the tank when he got there.
Yeah.
You know, Paul George is an excellent player.
Is he a franchise killer?
But I got to tell you, I thought of him one way, and then the Blazers, remember the Blazers, Oklahoma City?
Yeah, the wave away.
Yeah, the whole thing. I thought of him one way, and then my opinion of him changed after that series.
Yeah.
I was like, man, that guy's not, I don't know, he just wasn't.
Well, and if you want to go a step further, you can blame Portland, because if Portland doesn't beat Oklahoma City, they probably don't break that thing up, and decide to go in a different direction. So Dame waving them goodbye was probably the best thing that ever happened to Oklahoma City.
7-1 now the score tonight.
But yes, playoff P. I'll still never forget Charles Barkley being like, man, you got to change your name. You can't be playoff P and get bounced like every first round. He goes, they don't call me championship Chuck.
One other note, as the story goes, you can, you said you can maybe blame the Blazers, because if the Blazers beat him and then Oklahoma City breaks up Paul George. Steve Kerr is involved in this. Yeah. Because, yes, way back in 2007, Suns hired Steve Kerr as their GM, and he was a young first-year GM, and the owner told him to trade Kurt Thomas because he needed to get under the tax.
Yeah.
Thomas' contract became Serge Ibaka, then Oladipo, and Oladipo was dealt for Paul George, and then Paul George was sent to the Clippers for SGA and
That's
5
like the
months.
7 degrees of Kevin Bacon sort of thing.
So if Kurt Thomas is not dealt by Steve Kerr, none of this is happening.
Well, and this is like Danny always rails on this, and I see his point. I tend disagree with it. I think it's he always calls it luck. He says lucking into things. And yes, there's luck involved in everything, but you put yourself in position and you can get aggressive and you can make smart moves. And yes, you do need luck to come into that. But give Sam Presti in Oklahoma City a ton of credit because they've known when to bring in veterans, when to take swings, when to move off guys, when, and they've done this multiple times. I mean, Oklahoma City hasn't been around that long since they moved to Seattle. And look at how many different variations of this team have been there. And they've had several MVPs. They've made the NBA Finals now twice with two very different groups of teams. And the tank that they went through, it's on the verge of being one of the most successful tanks in the history because it set itself up to not only, have this, but in an era that is designed to make sure that these teams don't happen. Oklahoma City has set them up that they could do this for the next 3 or 4 years, no problem.
I'm not really sure how you could call that what Oklahoma City is building as luck.
Well,
that's crazy to me.
He just talks about that they have fallen, fate has fallen their way. Like, and how did you know that SGA was going to turn into an MVP? No one could have predicted that. Well, but at the same time, you still made the move to get him.
You liked him. You wanted him as part of the. I hate that. Luck is like Dallas getting the #1 pick.
Yes,
that's luck.
Yes,
building this. Come on, man.
Well, and it's like that you needed whoever had Paul George in that moment was going to get an insane haul from the Clippers because they needed Paul George, otherwise they couldn't get Kawhi Leonard. Is that fortunate? Sure. But it doesn't change the fact that Oklahoma City had made the move to get Paul George. They set themselves up to have a valuable asset and then knew when to break it up.
I think the luck thing is maybe also a little bit of excuse for the Blazers. Like, they've just been really unlucky. No, they haven't. Yeah. They've whiffed.
Well, it's funny how really smart franchises and really smart coaches and all that, they tend to get lucky because they put themselves in good situations.
Yeah, if you want to call it luck.